Hello everyone, you're welcome back here to Canning Farms. I'm Gavin and this is my Chief Operations Officer here. Get up here. So, this is Ben. He is one of the most important employees on the farm here, and you join us on the world's ugliest couch. Has to be absolutely rotten. Stevie Wonder even said this was an ugly couch. That's how ugly it is. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through how 2023 did and for us, and what we'll do then is we'll talk about 2024 plans that are coming in. For anyone who doesn't know, my name is Gavin, this is Canning Farms, and I'm contractor rearing here in the middle of Mayo in Ireland, and we're rearing around 100 on average heifers a year. We're up at 165 there, but we'll talk a bit more about that now in a few minutes. So the reason I'm in the shed here on the couch is because it hasn't stopped raining since July last year. So the weather has been awful bad this year, and that caused a lot of issues in its own right. So we'll just go over the list of what we said we get done there in 2022 or into 23 and see what we got done. So had to make better silage, that was done. We've upped our silage average from the mid to late 60s DMD up to 70 DMD. Water infrastructure had to improve along with grazing. We got that sorted, and basically I wanted to grow more grass, carry more numbers. We achieved that. Some of the things I didn't get done, we were supposed to build another 4-base silage shed. That didn't go ahead this year. Hoping next year to get that sorted and get that out of the way early. We have a paddock up here of ash that's died, so I'm going to clear that off and use that as like a rough paddock beside the yard. We get that done. Another thing we did there, so we'll just go through some of the things we've done in 2023, some of the positives. In January there I bought a Giltrap G2 bale feeder off Tom Tierney and Duncan Ag, and have to say an absolutely fantastic machine. They are expensive, but I would recommend it to anyone. It is a serious bit of kit. Any of them bale unwinders, saves your back, forking in silage, makes life a lot easier. All I do is I stick it on. I've changed the way I do it now. I just stick it on, cut half the wrap off, and it'll spin out the rest when it's ready. So me and Tom done a deal on that anyway, and I had it on test and I done a video on it, and he said that when I done the video I wouldn't be able to give it back, and he was right, I couldn't. Then going along the year, then what we did then was I rented another 30 acres off an uncle of mine there, a block of ground that we call the racecourse. It was part of the whole farm, but it was split between my father got his bit of land, I took over that, and my uncle kept that bit of land. As he's kind of got out of the cattle, I approached him this year, we worked out a deal, and I rented 30 acres off him, so that allowed me to expand. Now there was a lot of work in that. If you go back to some of the farm expansion videos there was a lot of water infrastructure I had to put in, walkways, fencing, non-existent. Had to lime it. What else did I do? A grass harrowed it. We cut silage down there. We grazed it within an inch of its life, trying to get some better growth in it. And there I just spread some clover there towards the back end of the year. Just I had a bag here left over. We said we'd give it a go and get it down there and see how it turns out. We increased the cattle numbers as well. So on average I was rearing about 50 to 60 heifers over the last couple of years, but this year now at max there we had about 170 odd animals on the farm. Tight enough on 75 acres, but the smaller cattle, they're kind of a bit like, I suppose they're still calves, like they wouldn't be eating a whole pile. Bulling went really well this year. We had 85 to go to the bull. There was two twins there, so there was 87 originally, but two of them, when we scanned them, they were repeating a lot, so we scanned them, they were twins. So there was 85 to the bull and we got 84 in calf, which was good going. A mixture of sex semen, conventional semen, and I have an Angus bull there to mop up. Then on the negative side of things, then coming into July there, the calves arrived and we had an awful dose of coccidiosis. So unfortunately there we lost 2 to the coccidiosis when it first happened, and then there was a group of about 10 that were constantly they weren't thriving, they were always sick. And we lost another 4 of them then, so that was a total of 6 animals this year, which I'm not happy with now, but the year that was in it could have been a lot worse. There was a lot more sick at one stage there. I was stomach tubing 4 or 5 of them, trying to keep them alive, get electrolytes into them and things like that. So we got them turned around, and now thank God they're thriving away now, so we have them for bulling next year. Some of the other things we did then, got in touch with Lamberts, wanted to buy a quad. We done a video with them about picking out a quad and things like that, and I ended up buying a Yamaha Grizzly 700. And then along with that then we done other videos then with Lamberts. I had a flail mower out with them there a couple of weeks ago. I'll leave the card up here on top if you want to see that. And other things then, I started working there for Anne-Marie and John Barrett there. They're a brother and sister team there in Brafey. They're milking about 120 cows. And the reason why I went milking with them was, one, I've always wanted to kind of learn about the milking and things like that. See if it is something for me down the line. There's no point jumping into something you don't know anything about, so I just want to learn a bit of the ins and outs of it, if that's an option. If it isn't, we might talk about that in another video. And as well as that there, just in the winter time, it gets a bit slack. When the cattle went into the shed and the weather was so bad, there was nothing much you could do. Even you can't work on the land, it's too wet yet, so just had nothing to do basically. There was no projects up until now coming online. I'd done the tractor and the trailer last year, done them up. But this year there was none of that happening, so that allowed me a bit of free time there too. I just get a few extra pound a week coming in, and really like it. John and Marie are absolutely, I love them, like they're great to work for, and really taught me a lot, and they're on the ball, like they do it really well. So, you know, highs and lows. The weather wasn't great in 2023. Everyone knows that. The weather wasn't great. We had a savage May and June, and then all of a sudden then it just started raining in July, and it has not stopped. Caused issues there where, say with the bigger numbers there, when I went up into the bigger numbers, I just left them in the big group at the start of the bad weather, and that was a bad mistake, because basically what happened was, if the 80 went into a small paddock, they were destroying the paddock. So basically I had to split them up into smaller groups. That was a lesson learned there. As well as that, like, you know, just things like the cattle weren't happy there around August, September time. The feeding really wasn't in the grass, so they were starting to break out of paddocks. Even if you went into a grass up to their udders in grass, they still weren't happy in it. They were just wanting to get in the sheds and things like that. So for next year, that might be a thing for me, to have in my head to buffer feed a bit of silage or straw or hay or something. Definitely with the calves, need to put out a bit of straw and hay there to help with the coccidiosis. That's definitely something I've learned. That was kind of a roundup of 2023 and everything that happened there. So we'll just have a look at what I have hoped for to do in 2024. So I'll just bring it up here now. So plans for 2024 is, I am going to put in at some stage maybe 3 to 5 acres of multi-species sward to see what that's like. Heard it can be a great job, been watching a lot of videos on it, just interested to see how it would go. I have a paddock there that I'm going to reseed anyway, and I wasn't happy with the way it was performing, so we're going to do that, reseed that with multi-species. And as well as that, it kind of has a deworming effect, so I'm kind of hoping that the younger cattle in a rotation can go into that and kind of cut down maybe one of the doses, or at least cut down on the worm burden, that I don't have that thing this year of when they get something else like a pneumonia or a coccidiosis, that they're actually dying to a secondary thing, which is like a worm burden or whatever, especially in a bad year like this year. It was awful. There's a dangerous hedge along the road that has to be taken down. You might have seen a video there of a short that we did, but we have more to take down. Again, farm maintenance, there's lots of fencing to be done, lots of roadways. There's a few wet spots on the walkways and the roadways that have kind of got dug up, so I want to gravel them at some stage. Or there's sand along the Moy there from where it was dredged, so if I can get a bit of that up, maybe I might try and do that. Silage and grass quality, have to keep improving that. So I cut silage there in May this year with the good May. I'm going to try and do that again. And as well there, I'm going to try and get a bit more overseeding done on paddocks that are performing but just need a bit of freshening up. I'll have to do a bit of spraying, or get someone to do a bit of spraying there with some 4Front-T. I have a lot of ragwort in the sward, and it was something that I've been banging on about last year as well, and I never got round to doing it. The weather wasn't great. So I'm hoping this year we get a week there, maybe in the springtime, get that hit, get it out, and then stitch in some clover and some extra ryegrass. Again, build the 4-base lattice shed. Again, like I said, we'll do a video on the milking. something that, look, it's probably not going to happen ever, because just the level of debt that you'd be getting into is astronomical. But if I can build a shed that you could build on to down the line, so I might switch the design. I was hoping to do a 4-bay saddle shed with about a 7 metre or 6 metre creep at the back, and we're a little run and crush. Just if you're ever like separating cattle or whatever. But maybe I might go for something that's just basically an open-sided shed, with 2 concrete walls either side, but barriers front and back that you could build onto or tie into a lot handier, maybe something like that. But we'll talk about that again. For the YouTube then, I'm going to try and push the YouTube a little bit more. People seem to be responding positive enough to it. It's only a hobby for me. Like, I don't really get a lot of time, or because when you film the video, like, it's be half an hour, but it's a lot of fiddling around with cameras and the GoPro and the drone maybe, and jobs take longer than they usually do, and as well you're editing a bit and trying to upload them and stuff like that. But look, I'll try and get a video maybe every 2 weeks rather than every 6 weeks or a month, like I was doing. And maybe what I'm hoping to do as well is visit a few farms this year. So I want to look at different operations. I have a few, maybe 5 or 6 places that I'd like to visit, from dairy to beef to robots to everything that I have in mind. And if I can just get on to them people now, and if they're happy enough with me filming, might go and see a beef fella that's doing something good, and a suckling fella, and milking, and other different things like around the place, that I know of people that are doing stuff that are very different, and people are doing stuff well, and go and meet them and see how they're doing it, and just see something different and show something different. Next couple of weeks, what we're going to be doing as well is I have a trailer booked in. I have to fix the back gate on it, so someone asked me there to fix that. So we'll be doing that, and as well, we'll have to service the quad now. It's well due a service now. It's got to 66 hours or 67 hours. It's supposed to be done at 60, so we'll have to do an oil change on that. So they're the few things now that'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks, is taking out the hedge, fixing that trailer, doing the quad. They'll be the next few videos. So that's basically it. Now, 2024 is just basically trying to improve on what I'm doing now, keep the numbers up. Again, I said it last year, and I didn't think it would happen as quick, that the expansion would happen as quick as it did, but the opportunity arose, so I took it. Was it a good thing to expand so quick? Yes and no. A lot of work in it, a lot of work in it. Like, it's just not simple. Like, you know, there's a lot of stuff. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. And other years there, everything went swimmingly and everything was fine. This year now, I just found it a bit tough. Now, I don't regret it at all, but it comes with its challenges, like as everything does. Might have to do something along the lines of turning this into a business and things like that. But we'll talk about that when that happens and stuff. But yeah, apart from that, then we're just trying to improve everything as we go. So it's just a short video recapping our 2023 year. Hopefully 24 is a good one, and stick around, and sure, we'll do it together, and sure, leave a name and comment down below. Tell me what you want to see. If it's something I have in mind anyway, we'll try and get that video out sooner than later. And look, thanks for all the support. I really do appreciate it. I know I keep saying it, but really do appreciate it. This is just a hobby for me, and really do enjoy the comments and, like, you know, people getting in touch and telling me about what they do and everything. So thanks very much, and sure, look, we'll see you in the next one.